Now, as many of you already know that the European Commission intends on imposing tariffs of up to 38.1% on the Chinese EV makers selling their cars in Europe. We have read comments coming from various CEOs, including our very own NIO CEO, in saying that this is a low blow because it does not encourage fair competition, which is something that is really against. Now, yesterday, you will know that I did a video where we were talking about the Chinese EV makers sitting down and proposing a 25% as a retaliation to that, of course, 38 or up to 38.1% tariff increase, which the European Commission wants to impose on Chinese EVs. So China or Chinese EVs are saying now the government of China must respond by imposing 25% on all big engine cars that are from Germany. Your Mercedes, your BMW, your Audi, all those cars. Most of them will face this 25% of tariff increase if the European Commission is to continue or go ahead with imposing those additional tariffs from the existing 10% tariffs that are being imposed on all imported EVs or Chinese EVs into Europe. So the NIO CEO today came with even more comments about the tariff increase and said that even with this tariff increase, a sub-brand like Firefly will still flourish in Europe, which is good news, because what he's actually saying is that because of the price for that model, or because of how cheap that model will be, it will still be very competitive in Europe, even with the 20% tariff increase. I mean, today on this article, we read that the NIO CEO today indicated that they are set for a 21% tariff increase because they complied with the investigations but were not sampled. And as per the tariff increase or proposal from the European Commission, they said that the cars that have complied with the investigations but have not been sampled, they are going to get a 21%, whereas those that have not complied with the investigation and are not sampled, they will face that 38.1%. So it appears that NIO was complying with the investigations and they were not sampled, which is why they are getting this 21%, or they will be getting this 21% if European Commission takes this tariff increase to final stages and start implementing or imposing to the Chinese EVs, which it means that over and above the tariffs that NIO is paying, which are currently at 10%, they will have 20% more over and above, or 21% added on top of those 10%, which to hear the NIO CEO say that for a brand like Firefly, it will still flourish. It is something that is really exciting. Now, what was also very important onto the article that we read coming from the NIO CEO, it is the 100,000 annual sales that the NIO CEO indicated that should they reach that in Europe, it would make sense for them to open a factory in Europe. I mean, you will know that the president of NIO has said this, I think, a couple of times, saying that at least if they get 5,000 sales in Europe, it is when they will open a factory in Europe, which, looking at the current, of course, sales that NIO is generating, NIO is not generating that much. They are not generating on a month-to-month in Europe. On average this year, they are generating less than 500 sales, which it makes you see how far NIO is from getting that at least 5,000 or to get 100,000 annual sales in Europe, which therefore means that it is still very far until NIO considers building a factory in Europe. But the good thing, here's the good thing, guys. The good thing is that NIO is going to start selling the Onvosa brand, which is much cheaper than the NIO car, which of course will be afforded by quite a number of people there. And over and above that, Firefly, it's also coming, the cheapest model that NIO will be selling, it's also going there. And the fact that the CEO has already made comments to say that even if the European Commission is to add this 21% tariff on the existing tariffs, Firefly brand will still flourish. It is something that makes me to be really excited. I mean, if this brand could flourish with the tariff increase of 21% more tariff increase, imagine the kind of sales we could see NIO generating from this if the tariffs don't continue. Because as we just read, Chinese automakers wants the government to retaliate by imposing a 25% on all heavy engine gas cars that are from Europe, which is something that I think with that we might actually see this whole decision taking much longer than anticipation. You will know that the European Commission said that if they don't reach a solid ground or find a solid ground with the Chinese authorities, this tariff increase will take effect from the 4th of July, which according to the NIO CEO, he does not see a solution being reached anytime soon. In fact, he sees the solution being reached somewhere around November of this year. So there are still going to be some back and forth from both countries trying to find a solid ground, which in the meantime or interim, NIO will be selling their cars with the current, of course, 10% increase that is there on all imported Chinese EV. So I'm very excited, or I was very excited, because one of the good things that we are going to see is that with Envoy and Firefly going to sell also in Europe, we are going to see, or chances are very high that we are going to see that 5,000 a month easily being reachable by NIO, because NIO will not be selling those expensive models or NIO models that not many people can afford them in Europe, but they will also be selling two mass market brands which almost all middle income earners can easily afford. It is something that will revive and stimulate the sales for NIO in Europe. So 100,000 is what the NIO CEO is targeting to get to at least annually in Europe. And though it was not written annually, someone might be asking me, how do I know that it's annually? Well, it's because obviously NIO can't sell 100,000 in a month. And from the previous communications about the factories in Europe, we know that NIO targets to at least get to 5,000 minimum monthly sales in Europe for them to consider opening a factory there. So this 100,000 is of course talking about an annual sales or annual car deliveries in Europe, which I think it will be very doable, especially after NIO has launched all of their sub-brands also in Europe. Otherwise, with all that, guys, I just thought I'd just give you this quick updates. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button, comment and subscribe, and once you subscribe, don't forget to hit or click that notification bell so that at least you get notified by YouTube every time I drop a new content. Otherwise, that's all from me, and I wish you nothing but the best in your stock market investing journey. And before you buy NIO for the very first time, do your own due diligence, because this stock can be quite volatile, and if you have not done some due diligence also for yourself on this stock, you will tend to panic sell or maybe buy when the stock price has just begun the upward rally towards the all-time high of $66.99. So do your own due diligence to understand where NIO is where it could be in the next couple of years, so that you don't get to panic sell based on the short-term market movements. Otherwise, that's all from me, and God bless you all.